My name is Dominic Kelly. I'm from Pacific East Coast. My background is I'm a certified financial planner, and I've been a financial planner for I think 23 years now. So Pacific East Coast, we were established in 1978. We have offices in Melbourne, Canberra, Sydney and Brisbane, and we service over 600 businesses. And we've placed over $4 billion worth of property recommendations in excess of 9,000 local clients. The easy way to understand this is this. We just simply identify good developments and we're finding solutions for clients. So we're looking at advisors' financial plans and their strategies, and we only deal with businesses. We're just business to business only. But the ultimate goal is we're just looking for that widget, which gives an income yield of about 4.5 to 5% yield over a 10 to 12 year period, and 5% per annum growth over a 10 to 12 year period. Coupled with gearing, that makes it a very, very attractive internal rate of return. We're looking at your limited resources, maximising the use of those limited resources without putting you in harm's way. That's our ultimate goal. My nickname is the Director of Demand. So we are a demand-driven business. So what that means is I deal with the financial planners, accountants and finance brokers. And Brent Severino is the Managing Director, and his nickname is the Director of Supply, and he deals with the developers. The developers come to us because we've got a very, very strong reputation, and our clients they're basically screened very, very well, and our clients are looking for very good quality property. You'll have many reasons why you invest in property. Some people just invest in property because it's the biggest industry in Australia, and if everyone's doing it, it must be okay. There's obviously mathematical reasons for why property does work, and if it's suitable to you for your circumstances. Our job is to actually make the recommendation. So Tony and his team look after analysing your needs, that bone-to-bone conversation he has with you, then your strategy. Then, as he pointed out subtly, and I did the exact same thing as well with my clients, I would say to them, now you've got two options. Either you find a solution for your strategy, or we'll find one for you. And they use Pacific East Coast, which is us. So there's the world, there's the United States, that represents 23% of the combined economies. There's Australia, 1.93%. There's China, 13.9%. And you can see why we're so dependent upon the United States there. The economy grew in Australia by 1.1% in December quarter, and the annual growth was 2.4%. So it lifted from 1.9%. The RBA sees the economy growing at 3% for the next 2 years, and any number around that is good for job creation. Unemployment fell from 5.8% to 5.7% in January, and job advertisements rose by 4% in January to 167,000 ads, which is a 5-year high. On business confidence, the latest business survey from NAB showed business conditions went from 9.9 to 16.2, a 9-year high. Long-term average is about 4.9. What do you think the population has grown by in Australia from 2000 until 2016? It's 5.2 million from 2000 to 2016. In 2016, it's not slow, that's just the first 6 months. We're on track for about 300,000 there, population growth. Unemployment is down to 5.7%. Everyone always tells those taxi driver stories. This guy was complaining about property prices in Sydney. And I said, what you've got to understand is they're always going to be great because this is a great part of the world. This is an excellent part. Australia is a great country, no matter what we say about it. We're on track for maybe an interest rate rise there in 2018, or August 2018, with the cash rate lifting up to 1.75, but nothing too dramatic. The RBA sees us returning to a 2 to 3% target range on inflation, and forecasts for growth in the economy are quite bullish, tracking around 3% in 17-18 and 18-19 before potentially rising even further. The housing data, obviously we're talking about direct property tonight, so we'll focus down on the housing data. The annual change in dwelling values over the last 12 months. Sydney and Melbourne, this will be no surprise to you, did extremely well. Perth and Darwin were negative. And the combined capital cities, all on average is about 10%. Hobart's done extremely well, probably the greatest growth it's had since the convicts. And Brisbane is performing very, very poorly at the moment. But there's a Brisbane story there to be told. So the two most important factors that we see is where the strongest growth is going to be going forward, and also to the 3 cities with the highest diversity of industry. But Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. Brisbane is definitely a national city now. Does everyone agree? Yeah. Is it an international city? It's on the cusp of changing. It is on the cusp of changing. And I won't go into it tonight because we haven't got enough time, but there's a lot of things happening in Brisbane that a lot of people need to be aware of. Market conditions. These are the average days on the market, so the clearance rates, all very low for those cities that we're interested in. Sydney and Melbourne, but a bit high for Brisbane. This slide here is a really very interesting slide. In 2008, Melbourne and Brisbane were equally priced at high 400s. Now for me, coming from Queensland, I saw that as a great opportunity for clients for Melbourne. So I thought Melbourne's got far more to offer than Brisbane back in 2008. Why are they so close? There's something wrong there. And both were approximately 75k less than Sydney at 550,000. You probably remember that yourselves. Now, the spread is enormous. So in 2017, the average house price in Brisbane is 520,000, Melbourne at 711,000, Sydney it's 970,000. At Pacific East Coast, we are not on about timing the market. But what we're just simply showing is what's happening. But again, it's that 10 to 11, 10, 11, 12 year horizon that we're looking at. This is on the yield side. So here we've got houses and units right across Australia, what the averages are there. And the greatest yields are Brisbane apartments, Brisbane houses and Melbourne apartments there. So obviously when the yield is high, that could signal a movement in capital price there. Affordability. Now, there's this discussion in the press all the time about house affordability. They're obviously talking about people entering the market for the first time, but for established homes and established families, the affordability is extremely strong. So as of September 2016, the national house price to income ratio was recorded at 6.9 times, 7.2 for houses, 6.4 for apartments. In most cases, the proportion of household income required to service an 80% loan value ratio mortgage is lower now than it was 10 years ago. Now I'm just going to show you an example of what we do at Pacific East Coast. As Tony said, this is about education, but just to educate you on what we look at Pacific East Coast, these are actually 2 projects we're launching next week in Brisbane, and then in 3 weeks' time, 1 project in Melbourne. When we look at a city, we just take a donut approach. We just go for that inner to middle ring around a city, and we don't go in the centre of the city. What we're looking for is this, highly desired, owner-occupied desired apartments. That's what we're looking for. Apartments where we're not just looking for investment properties, we're looking for investment properties where owners want to live in them. Okay, so this is Brisbane. Okay, here's some good facts on Brisbane. Brisbane's economy is rapidly expanding to be worth 135 billion, and it represents 47.1% of Queensland's economic output. Employment is growing 2 times the rate of the population, Australia's fastest growing capital city for employment. And Brisbane will benefit from an extensive $20 billion infrastructure spending program, including recently completed major transport infrastructure. There's been a lot of infrastructure spent on Brisbane, so those of you who know Brisbane well will know the cross-city tunnels now. It's no longer a bottleneck. The river's opened right up, and there's centres all around Brisbane now for young people to meet, and restaurants and cafes and so forth. And I guess that Brisbane was kind of like that steam engine that, goes cold, it takes a while for it to start back up again, but it's well and truly charging along now. Back then in June 2014, 6,686 development applications. Now it's down to 344. It's just dropped down dramatically. So what we're saying is this. When I was a young planner in my early 20s, I remember a very old senior planner who I looked up to. He said to me, Dominic, the markets, whether it's a property market, equity market, all the markets, it's like a boy with a yo-yo walking up a hill. You either focus on the yo-yo or you focus on the hill. And obviously we're focused on the hill, and all of you should be focused on the hill. So tonight's talking about what's happening with that yo-yo, but it's the hill we're interested in, okay? This is a development. So the 2 developments we're about to release in Brisbane, for your own interest, is one is in Newstead in Brisbane, and the other one is in Everton Park. Newstead's about 1 to 2 kilometres away from the city there. 1 kilometre as the crow flies, or 2 kilometres as you drive your car. The good thing about Newstead is this. About 10,000 employees moved into that area. A lot of head offices were set up there. A lot of employees moved into that area, and then the residential followed. So that's what we want. There's got to be that strong residential demand, and the vacancy rate's very low in Newstead. And this is how it works with us. We don't buy anything in those apartments. All we basically do is we say to the developer, that looks absolutely fantastic. We want sole access to it for like 1 month. Give it to us for 1 month, and they go, yep, they trust us, and we have sole access to it. We pick the eyes out of it, and then we pass it on to whoever wants to look at it next. So that's CavCorp is Damien Cavalucci, and Aria is Tim Forrester. The Illuminaire will be the tallest residential building in Newstead, providing views of the river and the CBD, and there's also a resort on the roof. That's something which is very new to Brisbane, and it's only happened in the last few years, and the developers we deal with have done that. They've copied the best of Sydney and Melbourne and what they've seen overseas. So you can imagine this, not only are you coming home to your apartment, but you've got this great foyer, cafes and restaurants downstairs, a resort on the roof, Wi-Fi everywhere. The building really opens up, and with a good balcony, the building really opens up that you've got a whole community feel there. It's just like any cash flow. You want to minimise what you're putting in per annum, and then maximise what you're getting in at the end. So the goal of a good investment property is that you want to minimise the costs while you're waiting for the property to grow in value over time. The next one is Everton Park. We've got a lot of clients who they're onto their 3rd or 4th property. They've been with us for maybe 10 years. So they want to put a townhouse in there. So we've gone to Everton Park for that. This developer is Brendan Tutt from Tessa. There's Brisbane, and that's Everton Park. It's 8 kilometres as the crow flies, and 10.3 kilometres as you drive a car. Those of you who know Brisbane know Everton Park. It's a very leafy, well-established, very lovely suburb. This is why we like it. This amount, fully owned, purchasing in that area, and these are renters. The demographics from a dependency, this percentage is family, this percentage is singles, and that's the average age, 20 to 39 in that area. So there's about 48 townhouses there, and they're mixtures of 3 and 4 bedroom townhouses. That building is shaped like a wedge. One side is to maximise the view of the city, and the other side is to maximise the view of Albert Park Lake and the bay. This is where it's located. I'll show you in a minute a better site, but it's right next to the Botanic Gardens. And so it's nestled between the Botanic Gardens and Albert Park. And you know how you're getting a new metro here? New metro stops? Well, Melbourne's getting one as well. And there's a stop right out the front there. And also what he's doing, he wants it to really, really stand out. So he's having a valet service, a doorman, concierge. There's a King's Club in there, which has a billiard room and cards table, bar and cellar, library, indoor pool, sauna and steam room. So that is a great building to kind of get into, and for our mum and dad clients, it's a great building that they can afford to get in at that 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom level, and then they can take advantage of what's upstairs, which will drag the building in an upward direction from a growth perspective. But again, we're just looking for that 4.5 to 5% yield and that 5% growth per annum, but from an internal rate of return perspective, that becomes pretty spectacular. There's not an oversupply of what we're talking about here. There'll always be a strong demand. The best thing I ever read in a Fin review on this was a lady who moved down from Brisbane, a senior executive, to Sydney. And the quote she made was that she's trying to find a place to live in Sydney, and she said, there'll never be an oversupply of property in the areas where I want to live. That's a great line.